My name's Holly Burns, and I'm here today to share my, let's see, did I say 18 or 19? 19, yeah, I always have to recount, yeah. My 19-year journey with my guides, and then that led to aliens, and then my most recent is the Sasquatch People. So, do all of you guys have interest in all three of those subjects? Or do you have experience in all three of those, or any of those at all? Any of the three? You have with spiritual beings, and you have experience with which ones?
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you raised your hand.
I was interested.
Oh, interest, but not, okay,
I
gotcha. Interest, but not experience yet, okay. Gotcha. Well, that's one reason why we're here today, is to talk about how you can foster some of that if you want to have more of an interaction with that. Are all of you interested in having an interaction like that? Moving through, okay, yeah, all right, we got the right group then. It's gonna be fun. So, okay, they just said it's gonna be fun. So, that's good. I work with this go-to group of souls, I call them the elders. They've never told me their name. I don't know if they're aliens. I don't know who they are, but when they first started speaking with me, I felt like they were angelic beings. And now, like 20 years later, I'm like, well, I don't know for sure anymore, like what you are, because back then, of course, my mind would have just gone to, if I don't recognize it, my brain's catalog is gonna go, angels. But they did really seem like angelic frequency beings. So I don't know, but that's what I'm going with, that they are not aliens, but they could be high-level Arcturians. I really don't know what they are, but they have, that's what I thought they were back then. I haven't had any ability to be able to rediscern that. So sometimes they just said it doesn't matter. I'm like, yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we're speaking with, but whoever we're speaking with, we hope that they are of a higher intelligence than us, and that we can gain some knowledge from them, right? That's what I'm always after, is wanting to learn something. So let's get on with it, and let's get learning something. So everything in the universe is telepathy based. So like all the things that we're going to talk about that we're doing back and forth with these beings, that we've had experiences in our dreams, or we've had experiences in the physical with, most everything boils back down to telepathy. Telepathy is basically everything in the universe is vibrational energy, and our body has ability, like I said, we're like a walking, talking satellite dish, and everything in the universe works on vibration and frequency. So that's the foundational piece of information that I really want to bring home to everybody today, is that you've got a gland, the pineal gland in your brain, that takes the incoming, much like, shortwave radios work. Is, they've got the energy that comes through the sine waves that come through the air, and it gets picked up by the antenna, right? So that's what our pineal gland does, and it decodes that information into a vision for your mind, which is clairvoyance, a thought, which is clairsentience, or claircognizance. Clear feeling is the sentience. A thought is, well, the thoughts can be a feeling of, a thought can be a feeling. So I shouldn't have said thought, which is more a feeling, clairsentience, or we hear something clairaudience. And most of the time, people are one or the other. Most of the time, people are more, if they're really clairvoyant, which is clear seeing, so the brain takes that and puts it into a vision in our brain and decodes it as something visual, versus hearing something more audio-ish. What do you say? I don't know what to say. Audio. I'm making up a word, I think, but that is going to be one or the other in most people. So most people are like really strong. If they're really strong in clairaudience, they're probably not nearly as strong in the clairvoyance. Some people that are clairvoyant, many times they don't really get anything talking wise. They don't speak word for word. A lot of times they'll get word for word, but they'll get like fragments of pictures sent to them by the people they're working with. John Edwards is super clairvoyant. He always starts with pictures in his mind. They're showing me a rose. She's showing me this. She's showing me that. And so that's really, he uses that. So all of that gets put together with these beings when we work with them. That's what we're doing, and that's what we're using with them. And so that's the one thing, because a lot of people like to break it up into lots of terminology. Like the Sasquatch people call it mind speak. Do any of you guys listen to any of the Sasquatch podcasts out there or anything? The Sasquatch community calls it mind speak. Because because they didn't really understand what telepathy was when they started having these experiences. So they just called it mind speak. And so there's just like 50 terms for telepathy, but almost everything you do psychically, you can just kind of trace it back to telepathic skills. And so if you're good at your telepathic skills, you can be really good at speaking with aliens and Sasquatch or any soul in the universe that you want. And you guys are using your telepathic skills all day long, every day. And people say, I'm not really telepathic. No, you are, because it's what's keeping you alive. You would be dead if you weren't telepathic. Because all day long you're reading energy. Like, I had to use some telepathy to do that. My brain just went, oh, that hurt. I mean, your brain says it hurt, but you're also experienced energy. I experienced energy when I did that, didn't I? So if I don't touch you, I can still experience energy from you. So that's the whole thing that's going on all day long with us. So, I'm into my first part of my journey now. So, I started learning all that stuff, and what led me to learn all that was I was on a horse trip with my friend and her horse, and somebody said in my ear, and I turned around and there was nobody there. And so a year later I went to the Edge Life Expo in Minneapolis, and I went to my first psychic reading I had in many years. And I'd only had like 2 my whole life before then. And that person said, well, that was your spirit guide. And I went, my spirit what? I didn't even know that word. I didn't even know what that was at the time. So that led me to lots of studying. And I was really wanting to know everything about everything psychic. And so I got led to some really cool, like the physics of the telepathy and all that. And then in 2007, my spirit guide and this group that I now call the Elders led me to this book called Journey of Souls, and then the next book with that called Destiny of Souls. And in those 2 books, they talk about the life books. So that's what this slide is about, is life books. And so when we die, we get to see our life books, and we get to see all the alternate endings that would have happened if we would have made different decisions in our lives. And when I read that, I went, okay, I want to be proud of my life book. I want to kick butt on my life book. And what I saw most of the time, like all the time, what held people back was fear. Like one girl had killed herself because it was the olden days and she got pregnant out of wedlock, and she didn't think she could face her family. So she committed suicide. And they were talking to her with her life books, and they said, no, this is what would have happened if you would have stayed. This is what would have happened. And they showed her the whole alternate ending in her life book. And I went, whoa, I want them to be proud of me when I go there. So I made a commitment to not let fear stop me on my journey and to trust them. And they asked me to take a journey, and then officially shortly after that, then like a month after that, after I was reading the books, they asked me to take a journey. No, they didn't. No, they just said no, it was reverse order. That's right, it was reverse order. They asked me to take a journey first, and then right after that, they shut down all my business. I had no work. I was a self-employed decorative painter, and they shut down all my jobs were all delayed, or turned out to be something different. And I had a month with no work, which freaked me out because I never could do that. So, but I did it, and so during that time, they led me to these 2 books, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls, and I made a commitment to them that I was going to do this journey with them without fear stopping me or holding me back. Little did I know what I was in for. I had no idea what I was in for, but that changed my entire life. So this is the alternate ending slide of the different roads you can go down. Every time you think something for more than 16 seconds, it starts to become physical reality. But if you think about it hard enough and long enough, it can also become an alternate reality. So you can be creating, like if you fell in love with some person in high school and you never married them, and you married someone else and you always wondered about this other person and what would have happened, and you spent 30 years wondering what would have happened if you would have married James, that's probably one of those roads up there. So that was some things that I learned, and I really wanted my foundation to be strong and be able to be on the path that they wanted me to take. And they asked me to take this path of all these roads. They asked me to step off the road I was on. I was on, creating this reality with my business and my life the way I had it, and everything was going great for me. And they asked me to trust them fully And I had an out-of-body experience with my spirit guide. There's my fear slide. Not to let fear hold me back. That was the number one thing that holds people back. And there's me taking my leap of faith, saying, okay, I'm going to jump into this and not fear, jump off. And that's the hardest thing, is you don't know where we're going. Because when the spirit guides, when these non-physical beings that we're working with, and the Sasquatch who are physical and non-physical, when they ask us to work with them, they usually ask us, but they don't tell us why, and they don't tell us how it's going to end. And so we have to go into blindness, of blind fear, and jump off that cliff and not know where we're going to land if we're going to commit to working with them. And that raises your consciousness. The reason why they do that is because fear. It's because of fear. Because we want to know so we don't have to fear. And if we know ahead of time so we don't have to fear, that keeps our frequency down on this level. So then we never really get anywhere. So they say, no, come, and then that's it. We'll tell you later. Come. Well, tell me why. Just come. We have to do that blindly and jump off in order to do that with them, because it causes us to have to transcend that fear, that barrier in between us that causes us to hold ourselves back. And once we go up above that, then we create a new reality on that frequency. So they're helping us to create better realities when they don't tell us things ahead of time and tell us the endings and tell us why all the time. Because us humans always want to know why. So as soon as I started working with my spirit guides and made that commitment to not fearing, then I started having the craziest out-of-body experiences. Oh my gosh, they were just nuts. And so I thought it would be good for you guys to go over some of the basics with that too, because a lot can happen in an out-of-body experience with these beings. I mean, most of it is actually out-of-body experiences when you're sleeping or you're meditating, and that is, the same thing as a dream experience or meditation experience. I would call that they all go by the same rules. Everything in the non-physical dimension goes by the same rules. And if you know these rules, it'll help you not have fear there too, because a lot of people fear getting harmed when they're working with their guides in the non-physical dimension. So rule number one is, this is the other thing with telepathy too. If you're talking with these beings and they're interacting with you, you're like, how do I know I'm talking to a Sasquatch person? How do I know that I'm talking to an alien right now? Right? And you're telling me who you're working with, and you know who you're working with. Because everybody in the universe has their own individual vibrational signature, and that cannot be faked. You can say you're something else in the astral, but you cannot vibrate that vibrational signature of that other being in the astral dimensions. So that's how you know who you're talking to. And people ask us all the time on podcasts, they're like, well, how do I know I'm not talking to a demon or a devil? How do I know they're not just faking it and they're telling me they're an angel, but they're really a devil? And I'm like, because they have their own vibrational signature. I can't say that through the digital technology and jump into their podcast. It's a pre-recorded thing, but I wish I could tell them all the time, because that's one of the number one things that I hear that people wonder about. And this is, like I said, the elders, man, they like led me to the right information with my foundational teachings. They taught me like what I feel like is really important information that most people don't know, and it's really important. Dream symbolisms are the same as out-of-body experiences. So like, you can look up what happens to you in a meditative experience or an out-of-body experience or a dream, and you can look up the dream meanings, because it's all the same. Because I found this was just crazy. Wow, they all use the same symbolism. I'm like, okay, like my spirit guide, he came to me. I'll show you a picture of that that's coming up. He came to me with black beard and beady black pupils his irises were black, and then black hair, and it was just a close-up of his face, and he just said to me, trust me, like that. And I'm like, okay, that was super powerful, but how he looked had a meaning. I knew he was just making himself look like that to me at that particular interaction. And so I looked it up. The dream meaning of a black beard is that they're hiding something from you. And he was hiding 19 years from me, because this was way back in 2007 when he asked me to trust him. So everything they do, everything they look, everything they have, clothing-wise, it all has meaning and symbolism. So look out for that. And you can look it up and Google it when you wake up. And what I do is I Google it till it makes sense to me. Like, I might Google 15 definitions of what something means for a dream meaning, and one of them will jump out to me. And there's my telepathy. One of them jumps out to me. One of them energetically aligns vibrationally with my frequency, and my spirit guides go, that one. When I read that one, they'll go, that one, Holly. So like they pin me energetically at the same time, which is why it jumps out to you. That you're getting a little burst of energy from your non-physical guiders around you to tell you that's the one that they want you to know that that's the meaning that matches that one. And you cannot be hurt physically in the astral dimension. My spirit guide has done lessons with me, and I'll get to those in a minute, in the physical that involved me worrying about bodily harm. But I knew you can't be hurt in the physical, in the non-physical, and also you cannot be killed. Your physical body can die while you're having an out-of-body experience, and it's happened to somebody. Some famous guy was like having an out-of-body experience, and he didn't wake up or he didn't come back. But that didn't cause his death. The out-of-body experience does not kill your physical body. Like people wonder, if you go out too far, if you go way too far out in the astral, is there a point of no return where you can't get back to your body because your silver cord is too long, right? Everything's too far away. And no, your physical body, if it's your day to die and you happen to be meditating at that time, then your soul might decide to leave your body at that time. But there's nothing in the astral that's going to happen to you in the astral that would cause you to not have a body to go back to. So those are things not to fear. This is my higher self, and she also started talking to me at this time as well. I just love her to death. She's only come to me maybe 4 times in 19 years. And when she comes through, she's really powerful. And she just said, and how do you know I'm your higher self? Right, I know she's my higher self because she vibrates her frequency and her identity, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's my higher self. Like I can tell her when she comes along, right? And she's got snow white hair like that, and she sounds like that narrator at the beginning of Lord of the Rings. Have you guys ever remember that female voice? Down to the level of the Voldemort, they're looking for the ring. Like that voice, that's how she talks. So it's like super cool. Sometimes I like what she says, and sometimes I don't like what she says. In 2016, when I thought my journey was going to be done, she said to me, finish it. Okay, it's 2025 now. We're getting to the end now, though. We should be done. I should be done now. But in 2016, that is not what I wanted to hear. I'd been doing that for 11 years. I was not happy to hear her say finish it. I thought, no, are we done now? This is the ending, because I had some huge life-changing events I went through in 2014 through 16. And at the end of that, I thought I was done, moving on to the next chapter of the journey. And she says, finish it. Wasn't a good day for me that day. So here's one of the out-of-body experiences that my spirit guide had me do in the astral. He gave me an exercise where he asked me to take my hand and smash it down and break a glass. And I was arguing with him. I was saying, no, I'm not, that's gonna hurt my hand. I'm not gonna do that. And he's like, just do it. Just smash the glass. And I did it. I did it. And I didn't feel the pain. But I thought for sure that was gonna cut my hand, right? But it didn't. So I trusted him, because he said, trust me. So like, they'll give you lessons. So if we start getting, they just said to tell you guys, you're all getting lessons all the time at night when you're sleeping. You just don't remember them when you wake up. So you can work on that intention of remembering what you're doing. Because all of us are off doing these things all the time. I just happened to go through this phase where it was just like, I was just remembering like all these crazy things I was doing. And that's what my spirit guide looked like. That's just a close up, just trust. Oh, but he wants me to tell you this. So when he said, trust me, I was suddenly enveloped in this energy, this divine energy that I've never felt before. That people talk about when they have a near-death experience and they don't want to come back alive again to Earth because this feeling that they're enveloped in is pure love and light, and they just love it so much they don't want to leave. That's what he enveloped me in. And I felt no fear about anything in my entire life. Nothing was scary. And I was like, our lives are just a game. I'm not gonna fear anything anymore. It's just a play. I know the real truth. And then you wake up and you come back to Earth and you live your life and you go through your life for a while and things get scary again. But for that moment, it was really great because nothing scared me at all. It was the coolest feeling. So he set me up for that. When he did that, I knew that, there was, so now, he told me to tell you this too. So now, like every time, even on the way here today, I got the word trust me over the radio. Someone said trust me. Every time I hear the words trust me, he vibrates me. And so you'll get that too. You'll get that reconnection of telepathy, or they'll send you because they don't live in time and space. So they're along, floating along with you, and they know that you're gonna hear the word trust me before it comes on the radio. So right when it does, they zap you with energy at the exact same time. And so I get that same feeling of trust me, like that. It kind of shakes me like a little earthquake tremor. It's probably happened thousands of times since 2007. So he keeps reinforcing that to keep me on my path, so I get that alternate road that they want me to go down, right? And this is another really cool one he did. So I just woke up and I was like, I was holding the end of a plug on each hand and I was gonna go like this. My spirit guide goes, no, don't do that! But I did it anyway. And I put the two together. And when I put the two together, I instantly came back to my body and I felt like a defibrillator shock go through my entire body, and I popped off my mattress in my bed like 2 feet and then came back down again. So it transferred from the non-physical to my physical body because I closed the circuit and I wasn't ready for the energy. It was too much energy for me to handle. And so it immediately sent me back to my body. But I still kind of felt it in my body too. It was really cool, but I screwed up. I didn't listen to the instructions properly and I screwed up the whole thing and I woke up. I don't know why I wasn't supposed to plug it in, but it didn't feel so good. So I don't know what I was doing. That's all I know is he was like, no, don't, like the little kid, right? So that was a really cool one. These are some guys that came to me last summer. They were really cool. So I was just like sleeping, right? And then all of a sudden there's like these 7, is it 5?
There's 5.
Yeah, there's 5 there. It was 5 guys. 5 guys, but the middle guy's supposed to be standing forward, but the AI didn't listen to me. So the middle guy was forward, the other guys were behind, and they had super cool decorations on their robes. Sorry, this is so yellow. I recolorized my monitor on my computer, and apparently this one didn't get recolorized properly. So some of these are going to come through a little yellow. But they had, because in the AI I had them with, they had behind them, what was so cool is that the light behind them was so bright that I couldn't even see anything except for what was blocked out by the light, which was them. Otherwise, everything else was that divine light, like the tunnel that you go down when you die, that super bright divine light. That was what was behind them. It was like just that, and then their bodies blocked out the light enough, and then the one guy's in front, and they had red robes to the floor, and every robe was adorned with super fancy, cool. They all had necklaces on, and I read about that in the Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls too, that the Council of Master Souls that talks to us after our lives, they'll wear jewelry, and once again, it's symbolism. The symbols on their jewelry are messages to us. And they tell us how we did in our lives, or they tell us something they want to tell us to keep going, or a message, and then they'll be like animals on them, or symbols, or words, and things, not words, pretty much just symbols, drawings, or animals. And so these guys had all this, and this is all they said. The guy in the front, he said, "We are the beings of light." And then I woke up. I'm like, dang, who are you? Like, I feel like they were some aliens. But I don't know where they're from. I don't know anything else about them, but it was really cool. So just keep working on being open to all those things, and just say, universe, whoever wants to talk to me, feel free. I'm open. And then also will yourself, before you go to bed, I'm gonna remember what happens to me in the nighttime when I'm doing my sleep time. Because if you do that, it changes you to that frequency. So the intentions before we go to bed are really, really helpful, because it sets your frequency on that reality. And then you create that outcome. So, really cool things. Okay, so then these are the reptilian aliens that I've worked with pretty extensively in the astral dimension. I found out from a friend of mine that was so like, what are the chances of this? Like, this is the only guy I've ever talked to that's known this. I've asked tons of other people, and nobody knew anything about this. So I met this guy, a friend of mine out west, where we took our horses, and so there's this reptilian race that they come through as Aryan looking beings with blonde hair and super buff bodies. But they're really a reptilian race, so they're just looking like this to us. So I started having these experiences with these guys that have no emotions. They don't have normal emotions, and they would give me exercises, all these different exercises. Like, I have a horse, and one time they put me up on a balcony, and they had a baby horse in a mud pile and a mom horse outside the mud pile. And I'm up on the balcony, and my teacher, who's a reptilian guy like this, he says, get that baby out of the mud pile. And I'm like, how can I do that? I'm up here on a balcony, and I had to do it with my energy. I had to work on getting him out of the mud pile just by using my energy only. And another time I came up to one, I don't know, I just came up to him. That's where the experience started. And he was taking his pointer finger, and he was just going like this, and like this, and like this, and like this, to a garage door, which was going up and down with his finger. And then he put me in that garage and shut the doors, and there was no way out. And I was screaming and saying, they always put me in situations where I think I couldn't get out of. And so the theme is here that all these beings are teaching me the same lessons. The aliens, the reptilians, the spirit guides, the Sasquatch people, they're all teaching me exactly the same lessons. It's all about our consciousness. It's all about that we are not physical, we are non-physical beings having a physical experience here. And the universe is so much more than this 3D, right? And we create our own reality with our thoughts. So he locks me in the garage, and I'm like, let me out, like there's no doors, it's just walls. And I'm like, God, I'm just like really pissed off. And I can't get out of this garage, I'm locked in this garage, like there's no door. Do you guys know what the answer was?
Walk through the wall.
Pardon me?
Walk through the wall.
Pretty much, create my own door. Create my own door. Put my own door there with my thought. I flunked that one. I didn't get that. They had to tell me the answer. I'm like, dang, that was smart. I should have thought of that, but I wasn't, evolved back then. I was just a new student, right? So I didn't think of that. And then he would take my truck away. Like my pickup would be in the out-of-body experience, and it's like, I don't know why I'm not in my truck, but my truck's there on the street. I blink my eye, my truck's gone. It's either my truck or my purse. He would continually take my truck or my purse. And I blink my eye and it's gone. I'm like, where'd my truck just go? What happened to my truck? Where's my truck? And then, when you're flunky, you go down. I went down like 3 floors in the parking garage to the lowest floor of the parking garage, which means my consciousness is going down to a lower level because I couldn't sustain apparently the higher level and think of just remaking my truck and putting it back there myself. But instead, I thought someone else was in control of my physical possessions than me. And then this woman shows up, and she gets on the phone, because I didn't believe in telepathy, I guess. So like for a long time in my out-of-body experiences, I would have to have a phone there instead of this person really talking to her boss. So the woman reptilian lady's talking to the boss guy, and he's just like, and she's just like, yeah, she's really unhappy. She wants her truck back. And he's just like, just give it to her then, whatever, And I'm like down on the lowest floor. So I wake up and I'm like, ooh, whoops, flunked that one too. So then, but the really crazy experience with these guys is that one time I went to this place I call the planetarium, and it was like, I was gonna go to like a semester of school. And I'm like, I can't go to school, I gotta be a mom and work full time and pay my bills. I can't stay at school. I did not understand that, I was not in time and space, and I was in the astral dimension, and I was worried about missing life to go to school. But anyway, I was there, and I don't know why I didn't just leave, but I felt like I was like stuck here at this place. And then the professor was like calling people in to like start school or something. And he came out and like, he called my name, and like I stood up and I came over to him, and he looked down at me. He was like this tall, and he looked down at me, and all of a sudden, this like super, super strong energy beam started beaming at my throat, and I couldn't breathe. I was like, the energy was so strong, I could not handle the energy he was giving me. And then when he did that, his eyes changed to that. They shifted to snake eyes. He was phasing back and out between looking like that and looking like that, back and forth, which shows he was a reptilian. But yet the people think the reptilians are bad. They call it the Draco reptilian. The Draco reptilian race is supposed to be really bad and evil and all this, but they never talk about them looking like humans ever. So this must be some other kind of reptilian race that is not the same as the Draco reptilians. Because I know these guys were trying to help me, but they always say the reptilian race wants to eat your energy and they want to make you afraid. They want to make you fearful because they like to feed on the fear frequency. And that's kind of what he did, right? Like, he was sending me energy and I was getting fearful that I couldn't breathe, and then his eyes shifted to the reptilian eyes, which seemed to be that he was feeding off my energy. However, I feel like he was my teacher and I was flunking class. So I think that some people are seeing that through the wrong frequency, and they're misinterpreting that on Earth. And there's something we don't completely understand about what's going on with these guys yet. And so what he did was he did it for a few seconds, he flipped his eyes back and forth, and then he just went, "That's okay." And he turned around and he left. And then I was free to go home because I wasn't ready for class yet. I didn't even get admitted to the class because he came out and I failed my initial exam. And he's like, "That's okay." And he left. He didn't hurt me. He didn't like sit there and get all giddy-eyed that he was speaking. So I don't know what was going on. All I know is that's the deal with that. That he was nice. And I wasn't ready for the strike. So I don't know. It wasn't pleasant. So like one frequency would say he was trying to kill me or strangle me or whatever. So you have to kind of keep an open mind and trust what's going on when you're up there. Not always just go to the fear frequency and define it from a way of evil or fear. And that's one thing that humans want to do. They want to say, "Oh, that's evil." But if we don't know it, we're going to say it's evil, right? So I could be saying he was evil reptilian. But I don't think so, because he's like, "That's okay." And he left. So, and then I was floating away to go home, and I was floating, which is really cool because you don't realize you're floating. But then you go, "Oh, wait a minute, that had to be an out-of-body experience," because I was floating. So I was floating down the road, and I looked back, and the place looked like the planetarium. That's why I call it the planetarium, because I looked back, and it looked like this white domed building, like a planetarium, that the top would open up, and you could see the stars and stuff. Okay, so then these dogs were wild dogs, and a wild boar was like following me, and he was biting into my arm. But I just told myself, what's rule number one? We can't get hurt in the astral. I just kept telling me, "You can't hurt me, this is the astral." And so he bit my arm and I didn't feel a thing. Remember your rules, people. Remember your rules, right? Okay. So this is another really cool out-of-body experience I had with this other alien, and I still don't know what race this guy is. I've asked so many people and nobody has had anything to do with this race. So I was sleeping outside on the grass. I was like, I believe I was a Native American. This was a past life, an out-of-body experience where I visited a past life. So I was in a past life. I was sleeping next to my husband on the grass. It was summertime. We were both Native American, I feel. And then all of a sudden, this super loud spaceship came, and I was freaking out, scared. And it was super loud, and it came down and it landed, and I was like over here in the fetal position, like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, no. And I was over here cowering, and my husband just got up and walked over to them and said hello and started greeting them, and then he called me over, and I'm like, "Okay, do I really have to go over there? Because I don't know what's going on. Their ship's really loud." But I did it, and I stood up, I walked over there, and I looked, and here's this guy that comes off the front of the ship, and he's standing here in front of us, and he had like no head. But once again, he had divine light, like super bright light coming off his shoulders, shining straight up. And he had no head, but he had it. I mean, I knew there was a head because he was talking to me with the consciousness of somebody that has a head. But what was there instead was blackness. Like his head would block out the light. So he had a head, but there was no head. But he had enough of a head that it would block out the light, but yet I didn't see a head, I just saw black. Just black light. So it was a black shadow. And he handed me a stone, and he handed my husband a stone. He handed my husband a red quartz-like looking crystal stone, and he handed me an ivory white round stone, which I have since found, I think the best match for that would be moonstone. So, and I don't know who these guys are. I have no idea. I've asked a lot of people if you've ever heard of a race that doesn't have a head, and nobody has. So I have no idea. But it was really real though. That was just to tell you, but it was real. You can tell the difference between a real experience and a dream experience as well. Have you guys had out-of-body experiences where you know this was not a dream when you're sleeping? Do you know the differences? Well, there's some things with out-of-body experiences. It is more tactile. Like it's just more real to you. You feel more, and you touch something, you can feel it. And a lot of people say you can see 360 degrees around you, or you're floating. If you're floating around and you're not walking on the sidewalk, like one time I was like walking on the sidewalk, but I wasn't walking, I was just moving along like this. If you're doing things like that, that's an out-of-body experience. If you're flying without an airplane, you're probably having an out-of-body experience. So all those things really amped up will make it more, yeah.
How do lucid dreams play into this in the spectrum?
Lucid dreams are a cool state of consciousness that you know you're dreaming. So like you're aware to dream.
Okay.
Like you're like, okay, I'm here, I'm having this dream experience. And I think that's a really close delineation line between dreaming and out-of-body experiencing. So
Okay.
like, I don't even know if we care which one's which. It's just, it's a cool experience that we're having, like who cares? So I try not to get too freaked out about, you know, which one it is happening to me. Because I think they're all just various close states of consciousness that we're in. So yeah, so lucid dreaming is like, okay, like when I finally caught myself and said, okay, I know the game. I'm not falling for that. You can't take my truck because this is the Astro. After like 10 times, I finally got it because I was lucid enough that I could stop it and say, no, we're done now. I'm done with that game with you guys. So it took me many repetitions of the same type of experience for my brain to finally wake up. So your brain kind of wakes up and goes, hey, wait a minute, aren't we having a dream here? Yeah, we are. Oh, hey, I'm dreaming. And then you wake up. So yeah. And out-of-body experience is like you're sleeping, and then your whole, your soul lifts and goes and does something, which it does every night anyway. And then, really, they're always like, ta-da, what's the difference? I'm like, yeah, like, I'm stuck here. They're like, yeah, because there's really not a huge difference. You're all just going out and doing stuff with your consciousnesses. I think dreams are, people think, they all just like, well, people think that dreams might be like, oh, well, this is just a made-up thing in my mind. I'm just playing through some sort of a movie thing or something. But I don't think so. I think our dreams are experiences out of our body as well. I think it's a consciousness shift thing too, and I just think it's a different state of consciousness, and I'm not even gonna get hung up on define. They said just like telepathy, don't put it into too many categories. We got all these different states: meditation, sleeping, waking. We can use them all. Yeah, I'm not gonna freak out about it. Okay, oh, this is another cool alien experience where I just had this like a year ago where like I was at some sort of like football field or something, and we're all standing around talking, and this guy has a hoodie on, and he looks at, he's about like there to me, he's about over there, and he looks at me, and he lifts up his hoodie, and he shows me a second set of eyes. I know. I'm like, what? Who are you? I still don't know. I Googled aliens with two sets of eyes, don't know. That's my artist rendering of a guy with a hoodie with two sets of eyes. That's the closest I could find. I was Googling online for people with two sets of eyes, and then that's a girl. But that's what she looked. That's what he looked like. Two sets of eyes. Don't have no idea who it was. This is the day when my spirit guide spoke to me, so they can do this to you too. Like sometimes you might get where like you're just doing your daily life, and all of a sudden somebody is speaking through you to a point where they use your own body as an instrument. And so my spirit guide came to me in 2014 when I had been doing this for quite some time, and it was time for me to make a choice with those roads, right? Which road am I taking? And they wanted me to be the bravest and to take the bravest road. So to set me up for the bravery before they did that, and like all hell went loose about 2 months after that, I was splitting wood in the backyard of my home, and all of a sudden he said, Holly, this is Andrew, your spirit guide. And every word he said, my diaphragm would just collapse with all the air pushed out of my body, like you're going, every word, and I could not control it. I had no control over my body whatsoever. And he was like, he wanted to get his point across. So he was using my body physically as well as talking to me like he would talk telepathically to me all day long. So they can do stuff like that to you too. So just be aware. And that also gave me the bravery to keep going, because he said a bunch of stuff to me and talked to me for like 20 minutes. And you know, that made me really keep my commitment to no fear, right? And going forth with things. And he knew that, that's why he did it. So, but it was really cool. One of the coolest experiences of my life. So, one thing they started teaching me right after 2014, in 2016 I started learning about the law of attraction, and so I needed to add that everything is telepathy based except for the first one. I think the first slide said that's all you need to know. I said everything is telepathy based, everything's vibrational based, that's all you need to know, except for that's all you need to know. The universe is actually attraction based. And that's what you really need to know those two things. So that's really all you need to know. And so that's what these beings are teaching us and teaching me every day. When in my readings, when my clients ask me questions and they'll say, which one should I do? The elders will often say, well, you can manifest either one, whichever one is your choice. If you choose this one, you can manifest that road. If you choose this one, you can manifest that road. So it's up to us. And so that's what they started teaching me in 2016, which was like a pivotal, life-changing thing for me to learn. And then in 2016, right when I was starting to learn all this stuff, and I was not a professional psychic yet, I was just Holly doing her cards with her guides, working exclusively myself with my own guides, not, I was doing readings for friends. And I had a soul group on Yahoo when Yahoo groups were big, and I owned a group of 13 of us all together that we did lots of work together, and I did readings for people all over the world through that group, but I wasn't doing it professionally. I wasn't considering doing it professionally either. I was a decorative painter. I'm off doing my job and over here, and I'm learning about all this stuff, and then later on when my journey's done, I'm gonna write a book about it, and then I'll be a public speaker then. And in 2016, the Sasquatches showed up in the middle of all that. And part of the 2014, what that hit the fan was I ended up getting divorced from my husband, and we ended up leaving our farm, and I had 2 horses and 4 cats. And luckily my youngest son had just left for college, and he could live with, he's living at college, and then he could live with my older son downtown Minneapolis, which is where he wanted to be anyway. So I was free to be roaming around here and finding a place to go for my horses and me. And so that led me to an area just across in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin-Minnesota border. And so here I am, like I said, I'm not really doing a lot of psychic stuff professionally yet. I had just started when, bam, up shows that guy right there. See the little dots for the eyes? And that's 9 feet off the ground, right in there. And that's my friend Chris, and he's if he's standing up straight, he's 6 feet tall. So that was my first encounter with the Sasquatches. Is I was living at my friend's place, and she had just bought it and was making it into a different type of facility and needed some help with that. And so I ended up helping her and getting to stay there with her. So I was walking through the woods one day in the summer of 2016, and all of a sudden, bam, once again, I got hit with a blast of energy, and I saw these twinkling eyes looking at me that I thought was a reflector, and then I saw 2 of them, and I'm like, oh, there's 2 reflectors, what's garbage doing in the woods? And then I'm like, oh, but wait, those are equal to each other, exactly, and then, oh, but wait, one of them just blinked. I'm like, oh, garbage doesn't blink. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, well, for a second I went, oh, it's an owl. And then, no, oh my God, that's a Sasquatch looking at me. And then I'm like, okay, I've watched Finding Bigfoot, so I'm like, make sure you look at the markings, right? So I looked and I saw this area right here, and I'm like, okay, tomorrow when it's daytime, look for a horizontal branch and see if there's a branch going right across that an owl could have been sitting on. But the next day there wasn't, because his eyes were inside the square, because they made this. They put all these branches right here. The Sasquatch wove all those up against the tree, so they could stand behind the tree and look out and not be seen. So that's what they do. So then I realized, but at that time I wasn't speaking with every soul in the universe. I was only speaking with my spirit guides. I didn't know that I could speak with the Sasquatch directly then. So I did not speak directly with this client at that time. Over the summer I was speaking to my guides who were telling me third party what was going on with the Sasquatches.
You just put eye marks there, or those are the
No, I'm not sure. No. This happened at dusk. This was almost dark, and the eyes were glowing.
But that's not.
That's the exact spot it happened, recreated with Chris a couple weeks later.
Oh, gotcha.
But I do have actual footage of another one coming up.
Okay.
That is at night, but I have actual film.
Showing where.
Yeah, that's just
I
showing where it was.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just showing where it was. And he gave me a message. So this Sasquatch one reminded me, I forgot. He gave me a really important message. The same message he gave me the coolest thing. So another lesson they teach you is that they'll tell you something, like when my spirit guide said, trust me, there was like 15 layers to that, right? There's the one frequency where I heard trust me and I'm enveloped in the no fear. But then there's like 20 other frequencies of answers that are like, trust me, life's gonna suck for a while, but you'll get through it. Trust me, don't fear, you're gonna be happy you did this, you know, all those, right? But you don't get those in the moment. Well, that's what this one did too. This one, he started blasting me and I'm standing there and I'm going, oh my God, this is like a dream come true. I'm talking to a Sasquatch, are you kidding me? Like I always wanted to see one. I'm actually seeing a Sasquatch? This is crazy. Well, I'm thinking all that, and he's saying to me, at the same time, he's saying, I'm the big kahuna around here. I'm pretty much, you know, the guy. And you are just a minute little being over there that is way inferior to us and me. And so, you know, we've been watching you since you got here, and I've been there for 3 weeks. We've been watching you since you got here. And you're kind of so pathetic that I guess we're just gonna have to tell you that we're here because you're never gonna figure it out on your own otherwise because you're so oblivious. And then I'm like, whoa, like we? And I just like inferred that he meant a family. I didn't even know they lived in family center. He was just like, we. And I'm like, okay, I was telepathically, once again, got the message, him and his family. And then, so he tells me all that. And I didn't think to talk back, like, and say like anything telepathically because I didn't know I could. And I was kind of stunned. So I just let him talk, and then I said to myself, I said to him, well, I said to myself first, I said, no fear, don't show that you're scared, just be cool. So I'm just like, okay, nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And then I took a step over to where I was going. I was actually walking through the forest right here. I was walking by here to go over to here, and so I wanted to go see if I could have a pathway for the horses to get through the woods right here to another pasture that was over here. And so I'm like, okay, well, you know, nice meeting you. And I decided to take a step, right? So when I took a step, 1, 2, okay? My first 2 steps I took were putting me, or maybe I took one in between, but right in between there was a big bush. It was really tall and thick, and there's no way that he could have seen me through the bush with regular human vision. And so I stepped, and when I stepped behind the bush and I went 1, 2 with my steps, when he couldn't see me, he snapped a tree branch at exactly the instant my feet hit the ground each time. Snap, snap. And I was like, whoa, okay. So that guy probably like doesn't live in time and space because he knew I was gonna do that ahead of time. And how did he do that so fast? Like it's impossible for him to snap a branch twice. I have no idea to this day how he snapped a branch that fast, because you have to snap it, then you gotta grab another spot in a branch and snap it again. You can't do that in a second. I mean, this is how fast I was walking. 1, 2, branch, snap, snap. So anyway, it was pretty cool. I didn't realize until this summer, the whole other level of his message and how awesome it was. I was writing my contribution to Tom Control's newest book that just came out like 2 days ago. And I realized that what he was really saying was, this is the other level of everything he was saying. He was saying, it's time for you to work with us. I'm waking you up to understanding your life contract. Did you know you have a soul contract to be a spokesman for the Sasquatch People and help with the great awakening of the planet through helping people become aware that they need to work on their consciousnesses and evolve. And did you know that? I didn't get any of that back then. It took me like 9 years later to figure out that's what he was really saying. Because I always thought that day, I'm like, why did he just, he could just have continued on just being a Sasquatch watching you from the woods. Why did he think he had to tell me I'm here? You know, that's the 2 frequencies of information that they'll tell you. That's how they work with you. They don't come up to you and tell you, hey, I've got a lesson for you today. We're going to work on different frequencies of consciousness. I'm going to do a role play with you. We're going to play 2 different things. They don't tell you that stuff. So aliens, Sasquatches, spirit guides, they all work the same way. So know that. When they tell you something, you have to be really open with your frequencies of thought and try to reach for everything. So the one thing that never felt aligned at that day was, why would he care to tell me? Like, I'm just this person. Why would he give a crap? Why did he just keep watching me? And why did he feel it was so important to announce himself in the forest? Well, now I know. He wasn't really doing that. He was waking me up to my destiny to work with them. That's what he was really there for, and he was the messenger. Get it? So that's like pretty cool. That he had the consciousness to do that, right? It's like, duh, they're people. They're not animals, they are people. So this is one of the coolest blinds that I saw at that location. I just wanted to share it with you guys on the big screen. I thought, ooh, that'd be really fun to see on a huge screen. You can see everything they did. And I drove by this for several months, and it's only 75 feet off the road, and I never saw it there. And this is someone's backyard. Like right here is, okay, like right about here is some arborvitaes that are really tall, and then mowed grass, right there, and about 50 feet in someone's house. And there they are. This blind is, I don't think I have another picture of it, I don't. This blind is, right here is 6 feet tall, right there. That's a 6 foot tall mark, like right there. And it's like 15 feet long. And they use that to hunt deer. So they jump out from behind that and they get deer. Because this right here is a deer highway, right here. And like when I go on the driveway and I would come in and out and the driveway's over here, I'd be driving and like deer would jump across there all the time. And so I don't know, one day I think it was because I saw a sighting over here with a big pine tree on the road, and I wanted to see how far off the ground those eyes were. So I was inspecting over there, and they were always 8 feet off the ground. I saw them all summer. I lived with them all summer, and I saw them at night all the time, all around me, their eyes jumping out from the trees and interacting with me. And every time I stepped outside the house, they would make a noise and announce my presence to the rest of the clan. And like 24/7, it was Sasquatch on 24/7 all the way till November. It was quite the summer. Very, very adventurous. And so when I found this, I just thought this would be really cool to show you. It's kind of hard because I can't zoom it. Maybe I can, but I don't want to screw up my slideshow. So anyway, this is a lot of work for them to weave all that. And this is definitely not some neighborhood kids doing that. And another sign you can see that Sasquatch did it is that they'll bring in a tree that's not anywhere nearby. This birch stump, there's no birch trees at all in this whole grove. Not one birch tree anywhere. So
do they live on our physical plane and can just, reveal themselves and not? Or are they, because I've heard other things where they're like going into a different kind of plane or universe before and they can kind of enter in almost like
I don't even know.
Okay.
But I'll tell you one thing. The guy from this clan that I work with now, that I'll tell you about in a couple minutes here, because I'm working with the current clan now too, with 5 clans right now. This guy, he'll tell me, I'm in East Texas this week. And then he'll say, okay, I'm back now. Okay. So they can, and I asked some of my friends and they said they can travel quantumly. So they can dematerialize in one spot, they can materialize somewhere else. And where they live all the time, I don't know if they live on this plane all the time or if they leave and come from this plane, but I'll tell you one thing. If you want to make some buttermilk biscuits and put them out in the woods, you will have a hole like that in your bag. You guys can pass these around. This is from actual buttermilk biscuits that I made my client I'm working with now. I made from scratch, and I put them in the bag, and no matter what day it is, no matter what the weather is, I will have that the next day, which is a hole in the bag and all the biscuits gone. I don't have to announce it ahead of time. I didn't give them biscuits for probably 2 months, and then I made biscuits for them, for you guys to get the new holes in the new bags, and that one was from like last week, and this one was from like 5 days ago. And I realized lately that I think that these holes are like the same size every time. It's like I can kind of almost spread my fingers out, and I was thinking that I think they match up with a bite. I don't think it's a hand pulling. I realized after this bag, I think that's them biting the bag. And then they just tip the bag up and eat all the muffins out. That's why there's no crumbs on the ground either. So yeah, I think this is the width of their bite mark right here. Which also lines up with this peanut butter jar, which is from my current clan. And if you look at this one, there's 6 teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I didn't think that was very big. But then I was comparing it to my mouth. It's actually twice as wide as my mouth. So I believe that this is the Sasquatch children of my current clan that I'm working with. And if you want to see something I think is really cool, This is, this is a marshmallow that, this is actually their bite. Like they bit this marshmallow and left it for me. So, I think it's cool because you can see teeth marks in it. If you want to touch it, you can touch it. And that's the marshmallow bag it came from. They left me one half-bitten marshmallow.
And
So,
I know I made an egg there, but,
yeah.
I'm curious, like, there's no bears, and I don't even know what a bear mark would be like, but how, you know what I mean, like.
Yeah, I
this
look
is
for
not like any
I look
other
for
type
distinct
of-
differences. And
Yeah.
one time I had my stuff in a spot where I thought that the rabbits got it.
Yeah, that's it.
Because rabbits left a mess everywhere of little teeny pieces of candy wrappers all over everywhere. They make a big mess. And the Sasquatches are very neat and tidy with what they take. And a wild animal is not going to consistently leave me a bag with nothing in it and no crumbs anywhere else around and only one hole in it. A wild animal is going to rip it and bite it, and there's going to be shredded marks. It's going to be shredded up and stuff. And I purposely now put it way up off the ground so the ground animals don't get at it, and the rabbits can't get close to it. And wild animals don't have 6 perfect little teeth marks in the peanut butter jar and then leave me the peanut butter jar afterwards a few days later, completely cleaned and perfectly cleaned, like with not even a speck of peanut butter on it at all, back in the same spot that I left it to them at.
They put it back, it was
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and then.
Yeah, because they washed it.
Weird.
Yeah, they like to wash, and they do this all over the country. If you give them peanut butter, they'll give you back the peanut butter jar and there's not a speck of peanut butter in it. And it's perfectly clean. And that also had matching teeth marks on the rim of the peanut butter jar. And I might have a slide, I might not remember. I don't remember what slides I have in there yet. But that's when the first time I gave them peanut butter, they didn't know how, the young kids didn't know how to get the jar undone. So they bit it. They bit it to get it open. And then there's 6 matching teeth marks on the side of the rim of the peanut butter jar too, but then no other marks on the whole peanut butter jar, except for finger marks in the peanut butter, which I do have a slide of that. So you look for consistent things like that to happen, and you look to see, if a wild animal was doing this, what would they have done to it? And so there's huge differences between that. Huge differences. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, this is their footprint. So these are 2 footprints. Oh, the Sasquatch just said, and wild animals don't leave footprints like that either. That's another good clue. You got footprints laying around, you probably got something else going on as well. So it's also a combination of things. I've got things going on with trees, I've got footprints, I've got some of their footprints. This is 2 from the family. These are the 2 footprints of the 2 culprits, I believe right now that are eating the biscuits. So this is the younger brother, this is the older brother. And his foot actually only goes to about here, but the plaster was a little bit bigger. And so, human beings don't have feet that go like this in the ground either. This is the mid-tarsal break of the Sasquatch foot. So you've got all kinds of other things going on and lots of stuff going on with the trees in that same area. So, yes.
Yes, there. Is that Minneapolis?
Yeah, this is the Minneapolis boys, that's the Minneapolis clan, and then these are the ones from the Wisconsin-Minnesota border clan. And I have those feet right here for you guys to see. This is the foot, this is that foot right there. And so I thought it'd be fun for you guys to see how big they are compared to my foot. So I can tell who these people are. I can tell who these people are in the snow by their snow prints. They're different. And now there's a toddler. This winter, a toddler came out and his footprints are only this big. And they're absolutely adorable. And I have tons of pictures of that. So yeah, so these are, I asked Tom Cantrell to figure out how big these Sasquatch were for you today, and he figured that these ones were like 8 to 9 feet tall, and these ones were like, this one was like 200 pounds, this one was 300 pounds.
Holly,
these
is
were
it
like-
Tom Cantrell the one that figured out the formula?
Yeah.
How long the footprints
Yeah.
are versus how tall
Yeah.
they are? Yeah.
Yeah, I just texted him this morning and said, hey, can you tell me these 4 measurements? And I gave him the 4 measurements over the.
So don't you just multiply?
He's got a formula now. I don't remember.
I don't remember
He's
if he
changed
said
it
you-
now.
You multiply or divide or whatever.
Yeah, the
that's-
depth of the
yep,
foot by
yep.
the width and the length of
Yep,
the
yep.
foot. He's figured out a formula to figure out how tall they are and how much they weigh. And he said that's the middle of the spectrum. It's not for sure. It's the middle of, that's the average. It could be lower or higher than that average. And he was right on, because he said this one was, I think he said this one was 8 feet tall, which is, I know how tall it was because I've seen the eyes of this Sasquatch watching us, and I got those tracks. And
So like the 24-inch track would be 12 feet tall.
let's see, I have to, I just realized I'm recording with my phone and it's in my phone, but I can tell you, as soon as we're done and I stop recording, I'll look at it on my phone. This one, let's see, it's only 14 inches long. So, it's only 14 inches long, the longest one. And I think I told him 13 inches.
So 7.5 feet.
13 and a half foot. Yeah, he said this one was like between 7 and 8 feet tall. And I'm like, yeah, he was 8.
Yeah.
He was 8 because his eyes were 8 up there. And then, I don't know exactly which one this is, but we did have sightings of one that was his eye. Every time I went back to go measure at the trees how tall the eyes were off the ground at that location, which was many times, it was always 8 feet off the ground at the eyes, and then you got the top of the head.
Yep.
So yeah, you're talking like 8 to 9 feet tall, yeah. Yep, and these are the 2 brothers. And how do I know these are the 2 brothers? I don't. How do I know? Telepathy. It's telepathy. I know it's telepathy because I know their energy. Like when I saw their tracks in the ground, I'm like reading the energy. Like she came up and she's like, oh my gosh, this energy is so unbelievable. So her pineal gland's going crazy and she's learning all about, getting these information from the foot given to her brain, which she's downloading as real information, and she's paying attention to that. If you guys live your lives this way, you will have these kinds of experiences happening to you all the time. You're gonna have a much more enriching life on earth than someone who just blows all this stuff off. And so, yeah, and she goes, I don't know if it's the material or the footprint itself. I'm like, nah, it's probably the footprint itself. Because this is just some plaster. It's probably the footprint because, I think it's got some pretty cool energy. I think it does. And so, when I was reading these last summer, I was kind of like, they call it remote viewing, another form of telepathy. I was remote viewing who owned these footprints. And I could hear the little boys talking back and forth, and they're getting into their antics. They were watching me, is what they were doing. They were watching me with my horses, and they were leaving their footprints. And now, I'll tell you later, keep getting out of order what they're doing now. But yeah, this is a feather this is how they prove that they don't live in time and space. I was walking down the street right after I saw this. I started working with a new clan that's at my home. I have 2 clans where I live now. One is where my horses are, one is where I am, and my horses are 11 miles from me, and then me. I have 2 different clans. And so the one clan, I just realized they were there this summer, which is kind of dumb, but I think he took it out of my head to go looking in the woods it's not our property, I had to cross the line, I didn't want to go on someone else's land, and so I didn't. And then when I did, I went, what? Oh my God, I knew they were here, but I thought when they said, well, you thought we were just passing through. Yes, I always knew they were there, but I thought they were just passing by. Okay, does everyone have the time? I want to make sure I get to
It's after 2.
It's after 2? Okay, let's get going to the video. I'm pretty much up to that anyway. These are just footprints. Okay, there's the peanut butter. So there's the peanut butter. And that's their fingerprints.
Tongue marks.
There you go.
It is.
Okay, thank you. I did not know that.
They were licking the top of the jar.
Oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there's the next day, the fingerprints. And then this is them at Halloween. Now, wild animals don't perfectly rip the Skittles things in half and then leave them all in one nice neat little pile for you to eat the net. Okay, so this is my video. So this is the father. Now, how do I know? Telepathy. This is the father of the clan that I work with now the most. And this was in October of this last fall. And I was coming back from my pickup. My pickup was over here, and I was walking back over this way. When I turned around, his eyes were right there, and he was watching me. And I want you guys to experience that. So, super cool. So, I finally remembered to videotape it while it's happening, right?
Not everybody thinks it's really cool.
I do. So there he is. There's his eyes, and you'll see there's 2 eyes, 2 separate eyeballs. And then he's back again. See how he blinks and turns away? And then he's gone. So that I finally got to think, to remember to record when I'm with them. And that's what I experienced all over, like the summer of 2016, over and over all the time. And and I didn't know that they can't turn their heads like this in 2016, and I would see them go like this. And I wrote down in my journal that they were moving around like they had neck braces on. And I didn't know it's because they can't turn their head like this. They have to go like this. their heads are attached in a certain way. So they're all teaching us the same lessons across the whole board, and they should all be respected as sentient beings. So I was going to get you some tips on how to connect with them. Do you guys want any tips on how to connect with them, or did you get enough through what we talked about so far?
Give us some tips.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the tips I came up with was understand the dream language, like we went through. Meditate. Meditating is super good. Develop your own personal language. So develop your own language with them. It doesn't matter what the language is. Whatever means something to you, they'll use it and they'll work with you with that. Like I have a whole language with my spirit guides. It's all numbers. It's all just number meanings. And then half of them are just made up stuff. That like my life path number is 3, right? My birth date, right? So all these different numbers, they'll start talking back to you. The universe is based on numbers. Oh, one more thing we have to know, right? Telepathy, projection based, and the universe uses numbers a lot. Everything's based on numbers. So do that. And start realizing that they make things jump out to you. So respect it. It took me like 6 months. When the elders started talking to me, it took me 6 months to really say, okay, someone's talking to me. Because they keep it just subtle. They keep it just under the surface where you wonder if someone's talking to you or not. So if you have that wandering, I just say, put it in the done pile, leave it over there in the done pile. Just say, yep, that was it. That was someone talking to me. Because if you do that, it's going to keep you on the frequency of that. It's going to open that up more and more and more versus the shutting down frequency where you're like, I don't know, I don't think this is. Okay? So that's like a huge one. And take note of anything that gives you a little jolt. You know, like when I said I get vibrated, do that because that's somebody jolting you. Respect all those little things that happen to your body throughout the day. Because that's them, that's how they talk with you. Don't let your ego talk you out of it. Don't worry if the answers don't come to you immediately. When you ask them a question and you want to know what the answer is, don't worry if it doesn't come back to you right away. Because they'll tell you, maybe over the course of the next several days. They don't instantly answer. Humans get frustrated because it's not a conversation. It doesn't have to be. They'll keep the conversation going over several weeks, several years, if you want. And sometimes it takes like 10 years to figure out something they're saying to you. Like I got stuff that I got back in 2007 and I still don't know what it means. I've been trying to figure out a couple of different visions they gave me for the last 19 years. So just know that. You're not gonna always just have this, oh, I didn't hear the answer back, oh, they didn't answer me. No, they probably are. You just have to be open to how they answer. And they're gonna answer you, they might answer you back in a very subtle way as well. You might ask them for a sign, you might see a bird look at you funny in the tree and go, I think that's the Arcturians telling me that they heard my question. So wherever you want to direct your questions to, they will, I guarantee you, they'll answer you back if you connect in with your energy with them and commit yourself to having the conversation with them. And try automatic writing. You guys know what that is? You kind of just go into a trance and you just kind of sit there very quietly and you just breathe deep like you're meditating, but you hold a pen in your hand and your hand might start writing messages to you. My friend's really good at it. You can Google it, automatic writing. It's a super great tool to use. I suck at it, but some people do really good. I can't do it at all, but some people do really great. They will share consciousness with other beings. So recognize that if you think the Sasquatch people are talking to you, like I get messages through the eagles a lot. Eagles share consciousnesses with all kinds of beings. So if an eagle flies over your car and you get a little twinge, that's probably somebody talking to you. Because animals will allow these other beings to share their consciousness for a minute and then they'll channel out messages to you. That's how your dead loved ones talk to you all the time too.
I find trees talk to me, but I guess I just figured it was the tree itself. But no.
It can be. Trees definitely talk to me too. Trees have souls. I totally think trees have souls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Awesome. And then for aliens, everything I said above, but add in what I call the Stephen Greer method, which is you go out and you like best at nighttime, go out at nighttime, you just intend, you keep doing it, get a group of people, you say, please, we'd like to have contact. Please contact us with the aliens. And I know a guy in Germany that did it with a group of people, and all of a sudden, up comes walking 2 aliens. They just start walking up to him and they answered questions for like 20 minutes. They just showed up out of nowhere, and they weren't human. So if you intend it and you really set your mind that you want to do that and ask them for direct contact, they'll They can show up. That's what happened with Stephen Greer as well. You can hear his story if you Google him. So that's another method you can use with aliens.
Steven's last name again?
Greer, Greer. Yeah, he has a whole movie. This has the word disclosure in it. He's got a whole movie he did on his goings on with contacting aliens directly.
Holly,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do the Sasquatch people contact you to teach you esoteric things, metaphysical things, exercises? Like, are they your
Everything.
friend, your mentor, your
Yep.
they work like a spirit guide to
Yep.
help guide you?
Yep.
Do they come to you in the physical and to prove to you that they're not completely physical, that they walk between both worlds? Do you
Yeah.
are
all
they
available on
working
that.
with you on that level?
Yeah, I'm working towards the father of the clan right now that I work with and where my horses are. He says it's time for us to start working together in the physical, like face to face in the daytime. Because I've never had the face to face in the daytime right up close where he's standing right here like Tom Control has done countless times. I've never had like, oh, you're 10 feet tall and I'm standing right here talking to you experience yet. But I've had, far away in the tree making a noise. I know they're right there, but they've never actually just really in the daytime come out full. And so he says that that's what we're supposed to be doing together next. And he's been telling me that since last summer. And then he told me we're gonna not do that during the winter time. We're gonna reconvene after the snow melts in March. And so and then he's been telling me, he just said to tell you this. Now he's been telling me it's time now. Like things are like it's really gonna get crazy, is what he says. They've been telling me like all kinds of experiences and antics, and then they want to tell you that they have started working more physically with me and my friend that lives over there too, and they leave us gifts over there. Like they left a whole deer hide with the back legs attached and a deer head, and so we're gonna work on doing more direct contact with them. I do a direct contact thing with them with sticks. They leave me messages with sticks and glyphs and all kinds of things on the ground that they leave for me. And I think it's an ancient language and I'm trying to decipher. I found some things in like ancient Sanskrit and like really old languages.
Are
And
they like universal symbols?
yeah, like letters and symbols. Like one meant you, one was you, or one was I. And so I haven't had time to work on it with them. But that's one of the next things I want to start doing is developing that with them to get like a really ongoing thing with them. Yeah, they're so cool.
And then I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you choose them or did they choose you, or was this part of your soul contract?
It's like I said, the guy in 2016, the father of that clan said, hey, wake up, it's your soul contract here, it's time to get going and get working with us. So it's a pre-life soul contract. And I did not know anything about it until they brought it up to me.
Okay.
Yeah, and they started.
And is that with just that clan or with all Sasquatch?
All Sasquatches is all the same.
Are they like a board mind, like they all?
Yes, they all know me.
Like
Everywhere I
the
go.
telepathy tapes where they all,
Yep.
all the autistic kids go to the cloud and they communicate? Is that like the Sasquatch have their own like iCloud that they all
Yes,
communicate
they
in?
got their own iCloud, and if one Sasquatch knows you, they all know you. Just like aliens, same thing with aliens.
Yes,
Same
and
thing
they
with
say
spirit
you're
guides.
marked, is that true?
And they what?
Do they mark you, your
Well, they know
vibratory
you. I
signature?
mean, they know you. I don't know the marking thing, but like they know your vibrational signature, and they know who you are, and they know what your job is to do with them. And like I was just in Utah skiing, and we had gotten 2 feet of snow overnight, and I was on this like crazy out of the way chairlift that I would normally have not been on because it doesn't even go to a hill. It just took us across country, and here we're going over a neighborhood because we're cutting over this private property area over to get on a gondola. And me and my son were on this thing, and all of a sudden I'm like, look at that. What's that? Oh my God, look at those footprints. Look at those going right across from that pine tree to that pine tree. So the Utah clan said hello. I'm guaranteeing you they said hello. They were like footprints this big. They didn't have any tread marks. They had the mid-tarsal break. It was fresh snow from that morning. Right underneath me.
And they're in line.
Yeah, and they're bipedal. I'm like, no one's gonna be tromping through snow that deep and not making one little teeny piece of snow go out of So everywhere I go, they say hi. I was just skiing at Lutzen 2 days ago. And I was like, it's pretty busy here. I don't know, I'm probably not gonna look for Sasquatch things in the woods here because these woods are so small in between each ski run. I don't think I'm gonna really look today for Sasquatch signs in these woods here. There's so many people around and stuff. They probably don't do anything in the woods here. And then I'm done for the day. I'm skiing back to the chalet. It's like a catwalk. I'm skiing, I'm just kind of going, tooting back to Charlotte. All of a sudden, bam, fresh tree branch. Right to the right of me, this tall off the ground, perfectly yellow fresh wood, like just was broken that night. You know, I'm like, there you go. I think that's a hello from the Lutzen clan. And, you know, of course, they always leave it just enough where you're like, well, was it them? Or was it just the storm? Is it did snow and it was really windy? But it vibrationally jumped out to me. That's the thing I'm telling you. Put it in the dung pile. It vibrationally jumped out. I looked at thousands of trees that day. Only one of them jumped out. That's how you notice. Be aware. Yeah. And the Sasquatch people, as far as what to do with them, leave gifts too. Pick a gifting spot. My friend Steve is working on getting to know a clan. They're everywhere, by the way. My friend Steve's getting to know a clan in Wisconsin, and he's going to his city park. It's a city park. And I'm like, dude, you gotta go there because it has what they have. That's another thing. If you want to work with Sasquatch, look for where they can eat and have water and have good people watching. All at the same time. You will find Sasquatches there. Well, he had a walking stick that he picked out of the tree, and he put it in a special spot when he left the park. When he went back the next time, he's like, I don't remember this not having any bark on it. Like, there's not a piece of bark on my whole walking stick. And I'm like, ta-da! That's the thing they do. They debark trees. So they debark, okay, they debarked the walking stick to let him know. And they also took his gifts. I said, leave some gifts. He left some gifts, left some apples in bags. So that's the thing, you start reaching out to them. When I started gifting my clan, it was a humongous bonding experience, and it really made my connection to them feel so much more real. So those are the things I recommend. And habituate the same place over and over again. And now I'm gonna start leaving a communication method. I'm gonna start leaving like a chalkboard and some chalk, or I'm gonna leave like a big pan full of really soft sand or flour. Because there's a guy that did that. He got a handprint and a handprint and a handprint left for him in the flour. And then he made a cast of that. So, all those things should help you to be able to, and then take photos so you can see if anything's been changed on your habituation spots with the Sasquatch people. Because they will change something really subtle, and you'll be wondering, and you'll go, was that like that last time? I'm not sure now, okay? So do that as well. Any other questions while I wrap up? And if you want to come see the footprints closer up, you can. This one's like broken, so that one's really big. I'd have to just leave it here because it broke in 3 spots. But if you want to come up and lift up these and see how big they are, how thick they are, feel free. This one, I really like this one because it goes really, really thick. Right here on the outside of the foot, it goes like 1.5 inches down into the ground, which is way heavier than a little kid that size would have made an imprint into the ground. So, do you guys have any other questions?
And so when you say Sasquatch are everywhere, like, do you think there's any down here in southern Minnesota?
Tons. Tons. Tons.
Because I live out in the woods, and I swear to God, they're like pretending they're owls. They're
Yes.
pretending they're barred owls.
Textbook. They do it all the time.
Out in my backyard, and
Yes.
then, or a wounded, like a baby owl, like and they'll be like walking, and I'm standing on my deck going, why can't I see you?
Yeah.
I can hear you. I should be able to see whoever's making that noise.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there.
Yes.
And I'm like, you're killing me right
That's
now.
them. That's totally them. That's awesome. Well, you need to like maybe send me a scan of your backyard.
Yeah.
Take a big pan.
Well,
of
I'm
photo.
curious because I'm like, well, because
You
you're
can see
like,
what jumps out.
I'm doing the, well, is it?
You gotta start leaving some gifts out.
Or am I, because when you start thinking about it, like, are you projecting, like, are you getting that syndrome where, oh, you're seeing the face everywhere you look because you have it in your brain?
Yes.
What's that called? There's something.
Yeah, there's a name for it. I forget some weird
Yeah.
name, but I
So-
can't think of it. Idio something or something.
Yeah, and I've always said on my property, like, we have 4 acres, and it's all woods.
Oh my
With
God.
a
I
meadow
just
in
got a
the
shiver up
middle.
my whole spine.
With a meadow in the middle, and we're right on the Red Jacket Trail, and then the river's on the other side of us.
Ta-da.
And it's like, and for the longest time I thought, oh, there's none of them down here, I don't have to worry about that. And then all of a sudden I started going, well, wait a minute, we're right by the river.
Yep.
We have deer everywhere.
Yep.
And turkeys.
And good people watching.
Yep. And
They're
we're
there.
out of the city limits.
You're there.
You know, and it's just so, but I've always said, like I do a hedge of protection around my property, and I've always said, if you are negative, if you are a negative entity, or you do not have the highest good, you know, mine or anybody else's, then you can't be here. So
Yeah.
I have always told
Super
the
cool.
darker ones, whatever they might be, get out.
Right.
But if you are of the light, you're welcome
You
here.
love it. I love it. They said they really like the energy of your land because you do
Oh.
that, and that's one reason why they kind of are magnetized to it, actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're welcome.
Yeah. So yeah.
Just don't
so
scare me.
yeah. So you definitely you'll
You can
definitely
come
have
and
to
say
start-
hi, but just,
Yeah. You gotta start paying attention.
I don't want to be
what's going on.
traumatized.
Yeah. You won't be.
Well, I don't think I would be actually, because I think I've kind of come to terms in my,
Yeah.
if you go into the fourth dimension, fifth dimension, like the 40,000 foot view, if you will, and you look down, and like you said, it's all a game,
Yes.
and there is no fear.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
Exactly. That's what I do
And
too.
so,
I just this is
no
shows
matter
that
what,
further back.
No
like
matter
I'm
what,
angelic.
if they want me dead, they'll kill me.
Oh yeah.
If
They
God
are,
wants me dead, it
they
would
are
kill
higher
me.
vibrating beings than us. They have no interest in killing you at all.
Right.
You know
So there's that primal fear aspect.
that. Right.
But if you rise above that, you're right. I think like
Absolutely.
they don't want to scare you unless they want to scare you.
The only time they scare you is if you are like, I think, is if you are at that moment unaware of something they're trying to communicate to you, and that's the only way they can do it to get you out of the situation. Sometimes they do it for your own good to get you away from danger. Some people have said that they've scared them away, and then all of a sudden they've seen a large predator right by, like a
Well,
wolf or
and see,
something.
that's what I understand is that they save a lot of people's
Yes,
lives.
they do.
They stop you from going where there
They
might
do.
be something really bad happening.
They do.
Like you're gonna walk into a portal or there's some predator there that would get you.
Yep.
I've heard a million stories of them saving people from bears, from drowning, from all kinds
Yep.
of crazy things, especially kids lost in the woods.
And Tom Control also says that if you're near one of their babies, that they'll scare
Oh
you
yeah,
away 'cause they don't
yeah.
want
If
you
you're
to
right
hurt
by
your
one of
babies.
their kids, the mama
Yeah.
Sasquatch are very protective.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you so much for coming, you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Holly.